Yeah, you've raised a really important point there that I think a lot of people might not realize. A lot of people who are at least, more shallowly anti-war, I would describe them as people who, oftentimes paint with a broad brush and can't distinguish, enlisted people in the military and veterans as being not the issue. It's the corporate MIC, the machine, the military industrial complex, right? And one of the things that you raised that's so important for people to understand is that poverty is what drives a number of enlisted, individuals that we have in this country. If I have, the opportunity to go to Princeton for free, or because my parents are going to pay for it, I guess what, I probably don't need healthcare and free college and all those things that plenty of poor people, like you said, you described yourself, you didn't never seen a dentist before. So we have a system that starves people of these very basic, human rights. And as a way of getting and achieving them, we force them to, join this machine. I'm wondering if you could talk about that experience and why it's so important that we have these things available to everybody, and also the inadequacy of things like the VA. As somebody with a parent who's a veteran and has had a lot of horseshit experiences with the VA, I'm sure you have as well, and plenty of people that I just wondered if you could talk about how they use this as a carrot on a stick to get people who are poor to enlist, and then they make all these grand promises that they never deliver on.
Well, and that's definitely a huge way that it's like when people talk about the anti-war movement, or if they're like, what can we do to help, fight back against the military-industrial complex? It's like you were saying, advocate for things like Medicare for all, a Green New Deal, education for all, housing is a human right. Like if you were to, and the thing is, so you don't have to live in poverty to be pushed in by your material conditions into the military. I happen to have had all of those boxes, but the big part of why people join the military is either they turned 18 and their parents, who are like middle of the road, either can't afford to pay for their college or they just won't, because America, even our parents are extremely individual, 18, pull up your bootstraps, and I saw that all the time. And so it's like, okay. And then it's also like you go and you look at student loans. I mean, look at our crisis right now that millions of people are in and still not getting actually any adequate relief.
Just postponing it onto the end of the year,
literally.
Which is a huge cliff for not only people who are, hanging on from student loans, but also 12 million Americans who are currently relying on their paltry state level unemployment. Yeah, it's absurd, but not to interrupt you.
Oh, no, you're totally fine. It was, when you'd have no safety net in the United States beyond the very surface level, oh, you can get food stamps, but you have to be a certain type of poor to qualify. And if you don't have kids, then good luck getting approved for anything. And you can get on, Medicaid, but it's dog shit. And so it's like, it leaves this middle ground of people that end up joining the military that weren't poor enough to be in poverty or below the certain line to get certain grants and scholarships, but also not in a high enough class that their parents are able to pay for their college. So that's what I like to, because, sometimes people will try and refute the poverty draft, and it makes me laugh because I'm like, I literally was homeless when I went into the recruiter's office, but okay. But it's because they're like, oh, it's only 20% join that are below the poverty line. It's like, yeah, you have to look at everything else. Look at the United States. We all recognize this country has no safety net for any of us, but give it to you on a silver platter if you just sign on this dotted line for 4 years. That's all you have to do. It's not a big deal. We're not going to send you infantry. We're not going to send you to anything crazy like that. You're just, you're just going to go to school for a couple of years and do this. You'll get out. You'll have your GI Bill. And, to a 17, 18-year-old kid who's never been to a dentist before, that sounds pretty good. And food insecurity makes you do things. You talk to people and it's like, we all understand here why looting happens or robbing happens. People that are in desperate situations are going to do things to survive. And when, like I said, 17, 18 years old, and it's like, here's everything that you want and need. You just have to do this. It's like, well, all right, whatever. It's just 4 years. It's not a big deal. And that was the first time I had guaranteed housing, healthcare, dental, vision, anything. I never had to worry about food. I didn't have to skip meals for the first time. for those first couple of years when I was in training only, I was like, oh, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me because, I have all these things, like, this is fine. My life is better now. And it wasn't until I actually got out to what's called the fleet, where it's like the actual boats and stuff, that I was just like, oh, holy shit. They do that to make it so you want to stay in, so you see it as like, okay, life is good in the military. If I get out, I'm on my own. And that's why a lot of people re-enlist. So that's why we try and help people get out with getting them to mutual aid networks, support them, help them out with their VA paperwork, which is a pain because they purposely try and screw you over so you can't get benefits when you get out. I'm actually medically retired. So like that was almost a year of paperwork that I had to have like professionals and lawyers help me with. So it was a nightmare to try and navigate. And so we try and be that family on the outside to help people get out and know that they have a family to come out to. You know what I mean? So that's what it's all connected to. And it's just, yeah, it's insane.